What's going on, my friend? It's Jeff Newport from ChasingStrength.com, and in today's video, we are covering the 10 reasons that men over 40 grow love handles, and more importantly, how we get rid of them. All right, let's dive in here. The old love handles, that spare tire, the middle-aged spread, right? Whatever you want to call it. Why do guys over 40 tend to get the love handles, right? And more importantly, why does it seem that conventional diet and exercise advice fails to get rid of them? And most importantly of all, what actually does get rid of them? What can we do to get rid of the old love handles? So first up, let's cover off on why guys over 40 tend to grow love handles. So first thing we got to know is it's not just one thing, right? It's a plethora of factors. That makes me, I love that word plethora. It reminds me of the Three Amigos. So here are 10 reasons or 10 factors explaining why we tend to get love handles over 40. Number one, and this is probably the most obvious, an energy surplus. And that's pretty simple. We tend to eat much more than we need to, and the extra calories is stored as fat, and that fat has to be stored somewhere. So any long-term gap between calories in and calories out is stored as triglycerides in what we call your flank, right? Your flanks, the sides, the love handles, those fat cells. Okay, that's number one. Number two is genetics. Genetics and sex hormones decide your preferred fat parking spots, if you will, right? So the sides, the love handles, the hip, flank area, whatever you want to call it, is a very common one. And some guys are just wired to store more fat there than others. Number three is a high fat cell density, right? So the sides, right, your love handles, they hold more fat cells per square inch than other areas of your body. And those fat cells shrink, but they don't actually disappear when you're dieting. Okay, so think about a balloon that's been blown up and then you let the air out of it. The balloon's still there, it's just not as big as it was. So this makes your results seem slower compared to other areas of your body. Number four is age-related fat burning decline. Now, as we get older, our muscle mass falls typically, and as a result, your fat mass rises because you're eating the same number of calories, if not more, right? And the ability to mobilize your subcutaneous body fat declines every decade as a result. And then as a result of that, right, your basal and catecholamine stimulated lipolysis or fat burning actually falls too. This brings us to point number five, chronic stress and cortisol. Now, chronic stress elevates circulating cortisol levels, and cortisol is a mobilization hormone. So as a result of persistently high cortisol, right, that boosts your appetite and channels your calories into, you guessed it, your abdominal and hip area, right, those love handles. And so individuals with higher cortisol reactivity tend to accumulate more subcutaneous abdominal fat at any given BMI or body mass index. So point number six, this is a really important one for a lot of us guys, and that is sleep loss and elevated cortisol and appetite as a result. Research has demonstrated that short nights raise cortisol levels further, and then as a result, that flips your hunger hormones, specifically ghrelin, so that you eat more food and store more calories as body fat. In fact, just one night of total sleep deprivation lowers your leptin levels and increases your ghrelin and adiponectin, right? That's a big word, adiponectin. Let's say that 3 times fast levels, right? And that changes the way you eat, how much you eat, and can actually drive overeating, subconscious overeating, and then as a result, right, increases fat storage. Number seven, sex hormone shifts. As we get older, testosterone falls, right? And then as a result, in many cases, estrogen actually increases, and both of those steer fat toward your sides or your hips, right? The love handles. In men, we see lower total and free testosterone levels, and they correlate inversely with higher visceral, right, stomach and abdominal fat and higher insulin levels. Okay. So said another way, as your testosterone decreases, this actually increases your stomach fat. And coincidentally or not coincidentally, there's a feedback loop there that we've talked about in other videos. And that feedback loop looks like this. The more stomach fat you get, the more cortisol your body releases, the more estrogen your body releases, and the more that drives your testosterone down even further. So good times. All right, number 8 is growth hormone decline. So your growth hormone actually drops, right? And that reduces your ability to mobilize and burn stored body fat. And again, that promotes central fat adiposity, right? Or central adiposity, or centralized fat storage right there in your stomach. Number 9 goes hand in hand with this, and that is increased insulin resistance, right? So elevated insulin both stores incoming calories, right? The food that you eat, and actually blocks fat release, right? Especially around your waist. And then number 10, this may or may not be true for many guys over 40, but it is not, we're not going to paint this with a broad brush, but oftentimes we see the thyroid slow down. And what that means is hypothyroidism, right? Or lower thyroid cuts your body's ability to burn calories at rest. And as a result, it impairs access, right, to stored fat. So that is 10 reasons why we get love handles over the age of 40. But now you're probably wondering, that's great. Thank you for that. But just tell me what I need to know. And that's, how do I get rid of those pesky love handles? All right. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to go see your doc and you're going to get a blood test. You're going to get hormonal baselines because you want to know if you have low T or a high T or normal T, right? You want to know what your A1C levels are. You want to know what your triglyceride levels are, things like that, right? And then you want to address any sort of medical issues you may have that are keeping you, right, from burning body fat. Number 2, this is a super easy one. This is probably the lowest piece of fruit, lowest hanging piece of fruit you can get, right, or snatch. And that is, you're going to sleep more, right? 7 to 9 hours a night, 7 hours minimum, no questions asked, no bones about it, right? Number 3 is you're going to eat less. And specifically, you're going to eat less crap. So cut back on your junk food. Just doing that will decrease your total calories, right? And then decrease the fat storage all over your body and especially in your love handles. But you already know this, right? So this is just me telling you what you know you already need to do. Number 4, you need to move more throughout your day, especially if you have an office job, right? So if you get up and go to the bathroom, walk the hallway for 5 minutes. If there's a stairwell, go walk the stairs a couple times, that sort of thing, right? If you drive to work, park at the far edge of the parking lot, right, instead of next to the door. Those types of easy wins. Here's another one that you can do as far as moving more, and this is what most people fail to do, is walk after your meals. If you want another real easy win, eat lunch. If you have an hour lunch, take 10, 15 minutes to eat lunch, and then instead of going back and checking your email and shooting the breeze with the boys, go take a 20, 30, 40-minute walk. This actually elevates what we call your energy flux, and that allows you to potentially burn more free fatty acids that aren't restored in your love handles, okay? Or excuse me, so they aren't restored in your love handles. All right, number 5, use your kettlebells, right, to train for hormonal optimization. Now, that sounds pretty fancy. How do I do that? You might be wondering. Okay, so point number 1, or A, however you want to look at this, is you are going to lift heavy, and that's heavy for you, okay? Now, when you lift heavy, what this does is it creates an acute, right, or immediate increase in testosterone levels, right? So it spikes your testosterone. It also spikes your growth hormone, and it also upregulates your beta receptors. Now, your beta receptors are your beta adrenergic receptors. Say that 5 times fast. Beta adrenergic. All right. They're like the on switch that tells a fat cell to open the vault and let the fuel out. So the fewer of these receptors you have, the weaker the signal, right, that your body receives, and the harder it is to empty that vault, which is why receptor balance is a big piece of love handle stubbornness, okay? So that's kind of a mouthful there. And lifting heavy also increases your muscle mass, and that's super important because muscle is your longevity organ. Point number 2 is lift explosively, okay? Now this creates huge catecholamine pulses. It produces immediate fat burning, and then it also drives GLUT4 translocation. Well, what is GLUT4? That is your muscle and cell glucose transporter, okay? GLUT4 translocation is the fast reversible move of glucose transport doors from inside your cells, right, to their surface. Muscle contractions do this without needing much insulin, which is why brief kettlebell or walking snacks, right, snacks in air quotes, after meals, help tame blood sugar. And over time, this will help make your love handles harder to feed. So lifting explosively also, this is also important, increases EPOC, right? What is EPOC? It's excess post-exercise oxygen consumption. That too is a mouthful. That simply means you're going to burn more calories when you're done training than you would if you hadn't trained. So your metabolism is elevated as a result of your kettlebell workouts. And then finally, the explosive lifting actually increases your mitochondria function. Your mitochondria are your cell's powerhouses. So it increases their ability to function, and it increases their density or the number of them so you can actually burn more fat and live longer. So as you can see, lifting explosively actually goes a long way to help get rid of those love handles. Point number 3 is you actually need to manage fatigue instead of chasing it. So a very simple way is you use your kettlebells between 3 times a week. And for some guys, not all guys, in fact, not even most guys, up to 6 times a week, as long as you keep the sessions shorter on those 6 times a week training plans, right? And this actually keeps insulin and fat burning signals favorable all week long. Okay. And then finally, point number 4 here is take a full day off each and every week. Okay. This keeps your cortisol levels in check. Make sure that you're not driving them up too hard from all your intense exercise. And it also releases mental pressure, which drives your stress levels down and also your cortisol levels down. All right. So that is how you get rid of those love handles. Now, admittedly, twisting all these knobs and dials, so to speak, to build your own program can be pretty hard to figure out how to do on your own, especially if you don't have the time, energy, or desire to do so, which if that's you, I recommend you don't try and build your own program. Instead, save your time and energy and grab a copy of my program called Kettlebell Burn 2.0. Okay, this will help you strip off the love handles, and it'll do it so you get stronger, build muscle, and improve your conditioning and your heart health and all your blood markers at the same time. So it's set up so you'll train 3 days a week for the next 16 weeks. And when you're done, like most guys, you probably won't recognize yourself, like John, who dropped 40 pounds and got a 4-pack, or Scott, who lost 2 stones. A stone is 14 pounds, right? So he lost 28 pounds. Or Tony, who ripped 4 inches from his waist in the first 4 weeks alone. So if that sounds like a program that's up your alley, I'll leave a link for Kettlebell Burn 2.0, where you can also check out those reviews and see that they're legit in the video description below. All right, so hopefully you found this video helpful. If you did, click the like button, smash the subscribe button, share it with a buddy you know who's trying to get rid of his love handles, and then leave me a comment in the comment section below. What kind of training programs have you used, if any, specifically kettlebell related, to lose body fat and specifically your love handles? All right, until next time, my friend, stay strong.